Flight engineers at the University of Central Florida are figuring out the secret to safe hypersonic travel.
Elon Musk is no stranger to breaking barriers, but this time he's aiming for something that could shatter every limit we know. He is developing a hypersonic jet that could completely change air travel. A jet so fast that it could travel from Tokyo to Paris in just over an hour. If this is true, it's not just a game changer for air travel, it's a whole new era of global connectivity. Could this be the future of travel, or just another wild rumor? Join us as we reveal all the details about Elon's fastest hypersonic jet that defies all physics. The quest for hypersonic jets. Elon Musk has unveiled the X1, a hypersonic fighter jet that's unlike anything the aerospace world has seen before. Capable of reaching Mach 6, which is over 4,600 miles per hour. It also features advanced technology that makes it virtually invisible to radar and uses a propulsion system derived from SpaceX's Merlin and Raptor engines, boosting fuel efficiency by 30% compared to traditional jets. While the X1 is designed with military applications in mind, its advancements in hypersonic technology could spill over into civilian aviation. You can imagine passenger jets inspired by the X1's engineering, capable of making a 90-minute transatlantic flight a reality. However, this isn't just about speed. Musk's leap into hypersonic flight has caused a race, and the progress being made is nothing short of extraordinary. So, what other company has gotten into the race with Elon? There's more to find out. Stay tuned. A lot of companies are in the race to develop hypersonic technology. Some of the big names include Hermeus, Stratolaunch, and Hypersonics. These companies are working on creating new propulsion systems and materials that can handle the extreme conditions of hypersonic flight. Their goal is to push aviation beyond what's currently possible and make hypersonic travel something we can actually use. Elon Musk's SpaceX has also jumped into the game with the X1 fighter jet, which is a military-focused hypersonic aircraft. The X1 can reach speeds of up to 4,600 miles per hour and has some pretty advanced features, like radar camouflage technology. While the X1 is mainly for military use, the technology behind it could eventually influence civilian aviation. This competition among companies is driving a lot of innovation in the aerospace industry, and it's exciting to see where it could lead. Speaking of the X1, it's a pretty impressive piece of technology. Developed by SpaceX, it's designed to be a hypersonic fighter jet. The X1 uses propulsion systems based on SpaceX's Merlin and Raptor engines, which are known for their efficiency. In fact, the X1's engines are about 30% more fuel efficient than traditional jet engines. This kind of efficiency is crucial for hypersonic flight, where fuel consumption can be a major issue. The X1 also has some cool features, like radar camouflage, which makes it harder to detect. While the X1 is focused on military applications, the advancements it brings to the table could eventually trickle down to civilian aviation. It's a good example of how military and civilian goals can overlap in aerospace innovation. The potential applications of hypersonic technology are pretty wide-ranging. On the commercial side, it could revolutionize air travel by making long-distance trips much faster. Imagine being able to fly from New York to London in just 90 minutes. It would completely change how we think about international travel. But it's not just about commercial flights. Hypersonic technology could also have big implications for national security. Military aircraft that can travel at hypersonic speeds would have a huge advantage in terms of speed and stealth. This could be a game changer for defense and combat. And then there's space exploration. The same propulsion systems and materials that make hypersonic flight possible could also be used to improve spacecraft. It's exciting to think about how these advancements could open up new possibilities for exploring space. Of course, there are a lot of challenges that come with developing hypersonic technology. One of the biggest is managing the heat generated at such high speeds. When you're flying at Mach 5 or higher, the temperatures can exceed 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt most materials, so engineers have to come up with new materials that can withstand these extreme conditions. Another challenge is developing propulsion systems that are efficient enough to sustain hypersonic flight for long periods. Traditional jet engines just aren't cut out for this kind of speed, so new designs are needed. And then there are environmental concerns. Hypersonic flight could create a lot of noise pollution and emissions, which would need to be addressed. Finally, there's the question of economic viability. Even if the technology works, it needs to be affordable enough for widespread use. These are all big hurdles, but they're not insurmountable. Looking back at the history of high-speed aviation, the Concorde is a great example of what's possible. The Concorde was a supersonic passenger jet that flew at speeds of 1,354 miles per hour, which is more than twice the speed of regular commercial planes. It could fly from New York to London in just under 3 hours, which was a huge deal at the time. The Concorde was introduced in 1976.
Hold position for now, but after departure, right turn heading 220, climb maintain 6,000, Lima Concord 9186.
And was in service for 27 years. It was a symbol of luxury travel and cutting-edge technology, but it never reached hypersonic speeds, which start at Mach 5. Still, the Concorde showed that supersonic passenger travel was possible, even if it had its limitations. The Concorde's retirement in 2003 marked the end of an era. Its final commercial flight was on October 24th, 2003, and just a few weeks later, on November 5th, a Concorde named GBOAG set a speed record by flying from New York to Seattle in just under 4 hours. This flight was special because it was the Concorde's last journey before being retired to the Museum of Flight in Seattle. Canadian authorities even gave special permission for the flight to reach supersonic speeds over sparsely populated areas. The Concorde's legacy is still felt today, and it continues to inspire efforts to develop faster and more efficient aircraft. But the Concorde wasn't without its problems. One of the biggest issues was noise. The sonic boom created by supersonic flight led to restrictions on where the Concorde could fly at top speed. It was mostly limited to flying over oceans, which restricted its operational range. There were also environmental concerns, like fuel consumption and emissions. And then there was the cost. Flying on the Concorde was expensive, and that limited its accessibility for most people. These factors ultimately led to its retirement, but the Concorde's impact on aviation is still felt today. It showed that supersonic passenger travel was possible, and it paved the way for future advancements in high-speed flight.
9180, contact Heathrow radar 13497, good day. 13497, good day, sir.
Now, companies like Hermeus are trying to take things to the next level. Hermeus is a startup founded in 2018 with the goal of developing hypersonic passenger aircraft. The company wants to achieve speeds of over Mach 5, which would be faster than the Concorde. Their ultimate goal is to cut transatlantic travel time to just 90 minutes.
9180, good afternoon and welcome back. Landing altitude 6,000, there's no ATC speed restrictions, full guidance.
Hermeus is drawing inspiration from both aviation history and recent advancements in space exploration. They're taking an innovative approach to tackle both the technological and market challenges of hypersonic flight. One of Hermeus's key projects is the Quarterhorse, an unmanned prototype aircraft designed to break speed records and validate hypersonic technologies. The Quarterhorse is meant to be a stepping stone toward developing passenger-capable hypersonic planes. It's designed to surpass the speed of the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, which is one of the fastest aircraft ever built. This project shows just how ambitious Hermeus is, and it's a clear sign that they're serious about pushing the limits of aviation. Don't miss the next scene where things get even more interesting. The Chimera engine. At the heart of Hermeus' plan is something called the Chimera engine. The name comes from a creature in Greek mythology that's a mix of different animals, and that's exactly what this engine is. A mix of different technologies. It combines the best parts of turbojet, ramjet, and scramjet engines into one system. Turbojets are great for taking off and getting up to speeds of around Mach 2, but after that, they start to struggle. That's where the ramjet and scramjet parts come in. Once the plane hits higher speeds, the Chimera engine switches to ramjet mode, which works much better at speeds above Mach 5. This combination means the engine can handle everything from takeoff to hypersonic cruising without missing a beat. To save time and money, Hermeus used existing turbojet engines for the first phase of development. This smart move helped them avoid spending billions of dollars and years of research. The development of the Chimera engine has had some key milestones. The first prototype used a General Electric J85 turbojet engine.
We have the J85 small turbine engine. This engine is a small single spool engine,
which is a reliable engine with over 16.5 million flight hours under its belt. This was a good starting point because it let Hermeus focus on the new parts of the engine without having to build everything from scratch. In November 2022, Hermeus hit a major breakthrough when they successfully tested the transition from turbojet to ramjet mode. This was a huge deal because it proved that the engine could switch between modes smoothly, which is crucial for hypersonic flight. The second prototype, called Chimera 2, uses a more powerful Pratt & Whitney F100 engine, which is used in fighter jets like the F-15 and F-16. This engine has over 30 million service hours, so it's proven to be tough and reliable. In May 2024, Hermeus started testing a new cooling system to handle the extreme heat generated during hypersonic flight.
Radically accelerate air power with autonomous high-speed aircraft.
This was another big step forward because managing heat is one of the biggest challenges in hypersonic travel. What's impressive is how quickly and cheaply Hermeus has been able to make progress. They built and tested the first Chimera engine in just 21 months for $18 million, which is way faster and cheaper than traditional aerospace projects. It's not all smooth sailing. Developing the Chimera engine comes with some serious challenges. One of the biggest problems is managing the heat generated by air friction at hypersonic speeds. When you're flying that fast, the air around the plane gets super hot, and that heat can damage the engine. To solve this, Hermeus is working on advanced cooling systems, like pre-coolers, to keep the engine from overheating. Another challenge is combining all these different technologies into one engine. Turbojets and ramjets work in very different ways, so getting them to work together seamlessly is a complex engineering problem. It requires breakthroughs in thermodynamics, material science, and fluid dynamics.
There is really no science around this that has to happen. It's all engineering.
If Hermeus can pull it off, the impact could be huge. The Chimera engine could revolutionize air travel by making it possible to fly anywhere in the world in just a few hours. And it's not just about passenger travel. This technology could have applications in other industries too, like shipping or even space exploration. To test the Chimera engine in real-world conditions, Hermeus has a project called Quarterhorse. This project involves building 4 prototype aircraft named Mark 0, Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3. Each one is designed to test different aspects of the engine and make sure it's ready for hypersonic flight. The first stage, Mk0, was a ground test vehicle used to check how all the systems work together before taking to the skies. In early 2024, Mk0 completed a series of tests at the Arnold Engineering Development Complex, hitting several important milestones. These tests made sure the engine was ready for the next step, flight trials. The next version, Mark 1, is focused on initial flight tests, while Mark 3 is designed to achieve full hypersonic capabilities. Each prototype builds on the lessons learned from the previous one, so the project is making steady, incremental progress. The Quarterhorse project is all about real-world validation, making sure that Hermeus technology is safe, efficient, and ready for practical use. One of the coolest things about Hermeus's approach is how they're using existing technology to save time and money. For example, they didn't build a brand new turbojet engine for the first phase of the Chimera project. Instead, they used the General Electric J85, which is a proven, reliable engine. This let them focus on developing the new parts of the engine, like the ramjet and scramjet systems, without having to reinvent the wheel. The same goes for the Pratt & Whitney F100 engine used in Chimera 2.
Demonstrating the Chimera engine's potential for real-world applications.
By using off-the-shelf components, Hermeus has been able to move much faster than traditional aerospace projects, which often take decades and cost billions of dollars. This approach has allowed them to build and test the first Chimera engine in just 21 months for $18 million. That's a fraction of the time and cost it would normally take to develop something this advanced. Another big challenge Hermeus is tackling is heat management. When you're flying at hypersonic speeds, the air around the plane gets incredibly hot enough to melt most materials. This is a major problem, because if the engine gets too hot, it can fail. To solve this, Hermeus is working on advanced cooling systems. One of the most promising ideas is something called a pre-cooler, which cools the air before it enters the engine. This helps keep the engine from overheating and makes it possible to sustain hypersonic speeds for longer periods of time. In May 2024, Hermeus started testing a new cooling system for Chimera 2, and the results have been encouraging. This is a big step forward because managing heat is one of the biggest obstacles to making hypersonic travel a reality. The Chimera engine isn't just a technical achievement, it's also a potential game changer for the aviation industry. If Hermeus can make this engine work, it could completely transform the way we think about air travel. Right now, flying from one side of the world to the other takes hours, even on the fastest planes. But with hypersonic travel, those long flights could be cut down to just a couple of hours.
Marks a significant milestone for Hermeus. This aircraft is equipped to take off and land autonomously.
Imagine being able to fly from New York to Tokyo in the time it takes to watch a movie. That's the kind of future Hermeus is working towards. And it's not just about saving time. Hypersonic travel could also make air travel more efficient and environmentally friendly. By flying faster, planes could use less fuel overall, which would reduce their carbon footprint. This is still a long way off, but it's an exciting possibility. The most amazing part of the video is just ahead. The Quarterhorse project by Hermeus. The Quarterhorse project is a key part of Hermeus's plan to make hypersonic travel a reality. By building and testing these prototype aircraft, Hermeus is making sure that their technology works in real-world conditions. The first prototype, Mark 0, was a ground test vehicle used to check how all the systems work together. In early 2024, Mark 0 completed a series of tests at the Arnold Engineering Development Complex, hitting several important milestones. These tests made sure the engine was ready for the next step, flight trials. The next version, Mark 1, is focused on initial flight tests, while Mark 3 is designed to achieve full hypersonic capabilities. Each prototype builds on the lessons learned from the previous one, so the project is making steady, incremental progress. The Quarterhorse project is all about real-world validation, making sure that Hermeus's technology is safe, efficient, and ready for practical use.
But our thesis was like, there is really no science around this that has to happen. It's all engineering.
One of the things that sets Hermeus apart is their focus on affordability. Traditional aerospace projects are notoriously expensive and time-consuming, but Hermeus is taking a different approach. By using off-the-shelf components and focusing on incremental progress, they've been able to move much faster and keep costs down. For example, they built and tested the first Chimera engine in just 21 months for $18 million. That's a fraction of the time and cost it would normally take to develop something this advanced. This approach has allowed them to make rapid progress and stay ahead of the competition. It's also made it possible for them to attract investors and partners who are excited about the potential of hypersonic travel. Another challenge Hermeus is tackling is the complexity of combining different technologies into one engine. Turbojets and ramjets work in very different ways, so getting them to work together seamlessly is a complex engineering problem. Turbojets are great for taking off and getting up to speeds of around Mach 2.
Jet engines have evolved during the past 50 or more years to become much more efficient and much more powerful.
But after that, they start to struggle. That's where the ramjet and scramjet parts come in. Once the plane hits higher speeds, the Chimera engine switches to ramjet mode, which works much better at speeds above Mach 5. This combination means the engine can handle everything from takeoff to hypersonic cruising without missing a beat. But making this work requires breakthroughs in thermodynamics, material science, and fluid dynamics. It's a tough problem, but Hermeus is making steady progress. The potential impact of the Chimera engine is huge. If Hermeus can make this engine work, it could revolutionize air travel by making it possible to fly anywhere in the world in just a few hours. And it's not just about passenger travel. This technology could have applications in other industries too, like shipping or even space exploration. For example, hypersonic cargo planes could deliver goods around the world in a fraction of the time it takes now. This could have a big impact on global trade and logistics. And in the future, hypersonic technology could even be used for space travel, making it faster and cheaper to get to orbit. The possibilities are endless, and Hermeus is at the forefront of this exciting new field. The Quarterhorse project is a key part of Hermeus's plan to make hypersonic travel a reality. By building and testing these prototype aircraft, Hermeus is making sure that their technology works in real-world conditions. The first prototype, Mark 0, was a ground test vehicle used to check how all the systems work together. In early 2024, Mark 0 completed a series of tests at the Arnold Engineering Development Complex, hitting several important milestones. These tests made sure the engine was ready for the next step, flight trials. The next version, Mark I, is focused on initial flight tests, while Mark III is designed to achieve full hypersonic capabilities. Each prototype builds on the lessons learned from the previous one, so the project is making steady, incremental progress. Another challenge Hermeus is tackling is the complexity of combining different technologies into one engine. Turbojets and ramjets work in very different ways, so getting them to work together seamlessly is a complex engineering problem. Turbojets are great for taking off and getting up to speeds of around Mach 2.
Jet engines have evolved during the past 50 or more years to become much more efficient and much more powerful.
But after that, they start to struggle. That's where the ramjet and scramjet parts come in. Once the plane hits higher speeds, the Chimera engine switches to ramjet mode, which works much better at speeds above Mach 5. This combination means the engine can handle everything from takeoff to hypersonic cruising without missing a beat. But making this work requires breakthroughs in thermodynamics, material science, and fluid dynamics. It's a tough problem, but Hermeus is making steady progress. The potential impact of the Chimera engine is huge. If Hermeus can make this engine work, it could revolutionize air travel by making it possible to fly anywhere in the world in just a few hours. And it's not just about passenger travel. This technology could have applications in other industries too, like shipping or even space exploration. For example, hypersonic cargo planes could deliver goods around the world in a fraction of the time it takes now. This could have a big impact on global trade and logistics. And in the future, hypersonic technology could even be used for space travel, making it faster and cheaper to get to orbit. The possibilities are endless, and Hermeus is at the forefront of this exciting new field. The best part is yet to come. Stay tuned. Initial ground testing milestones of Quarterhorse. The first Quarterhorse prototype, MK0, was designed to stay on the ground and help the team figure out how everything works together before taking things to the next level. One of the first things they tested was the remote control system. This was important because future flights, especially at hypersonic speeds, will likely be unmanned. The team needed to make sure they could control the aircraft from the ground without any issues. They ran a bunch of tests to check how well the remote control system worked, and it passed with flying colors. This was a big win because it showed that Hermeus could handle the complexities of controlling a high-speed aircraft from a distance. Next up, they tested how well the Mark 0 could move on the ground. This might sound simple, but it's actually a crucial part of getting ready for flight. The team ran simulations to mimic what would happen before takeoff, like taxiing on a runway. They wanted to make sure the aircraft could handle these basic movements without any problems. The MK0 performed well, which was another step forward. It might not seem as exciting as flying, but these ground tests are super important.
This is the first time that we've done a deployed test operation,
because they help the team catch any issues before the aircraft leaves the ground. Communication was another big focus during the MK0 testing phase. When you're dealing with high-speed aircraft, especially ones that are remotely controlled, you need to have fast and reliable communication between the vehicle and the ground control systems. Hermeus ran a series of tests to check how quickly and accurately data could be sent back and forth. They also made sure the system could handle any potential delays or interruptions. This was a critical step because at hypersonic speeds, even a small communication glitch could cause big problems. The test went well, and the team was able to confirm that their communication systems were up to the task. The team also spent a lot of time checking how well the Mark 0 could maneuver on the ground and making sure all the systems worked properly under simulated flight conditions. This included things like testing the brakes, steering, and other controls to make sure everything functioned as it should. They even ran simulations to see how the aircraft would handle different scenarios, like sudden stops or sharp turns. These tests helped the team identify any potential issues and fix them before moving on to the next stage. It's all about making sure the aircraft is as safe and reliable as possible. What's really impressive is how quickly Hermeus was able to design, build, and test the Mark 0. They managed to put the whole thing together in just 6 months and completed all the testing in 37 days. That's crazy fast, especially when you consider how long traditional aerospace projects usually take. This rapid development and testing process is a big part of what sets Hermeus apart. They're not just building cool technology, they're doing it in a way that's fast, efficient, and cost-effective. This approach has allowed them to make progress much quicker than their competitors. After the success of the MK0, Hermeus moved on to the next prototype, the MK1. This one is designed for actual flight testing, which is a huge step forward. The Mk1 was unveiled in March 2024, and the plan is to have its first flight by the end of that year. The tests will take place at Edwards Air Force Base in California, which is a pretty fitting location. Edwards has a long history of aviation milestones, so it's kind of like Hermeus is following in the footsteps of some of the biggest names in aerospace. The Mk1 is also unmanned, which makes sense for testing something this advanced. It's safer to have no one on board during these early flights, just in case something goes wrong. The main goal for the Mk1 is to demonstrate high-speed takeoff and landing capabilities. This might not sound as exciting as breaking the sound barrier, but it's actually a really important part of making hypersonic travel a reality. If the aircraft can't take off and land safely at high speeds, then the rest of the technology doesn't matter much. Hermeus is focusing on getting these basics right before moving on to more advanced tests. And just like with the Mark 0, they've been able to design and build the Mark 1 in record time, which is just 7 months. This quick turnaround is a big part of why Hermeus has been able to make so much progress in such a short amount of time. Once the Mark 1 completes its flight tests, the next step is the Mark 2. This prototype is all about supersonic flight, which means flying faster than the speed of sound. The Mk2 will feature the Chimera 2 engine, which uses the Pratt & Whitney F100 engine core. This is a more powerful engine than the one used in the Mark 0 and Mark 1, and it's going to give the Mark 2 a big performance boost. The goal is to reach speeds of Mach 2.5, which is more than twice as fast as the Concorde used to fly. That's a big deal because it would show that Hermeus technology can handle the demands of high-speed flight. The Mk2 is also designed to demonstrate autonomous supersonic flight, which is another big milestone. Being able to fly at these speeds without a human pilot is a key step toward making hypersonic travel a reality. The Mk3 is where things really start to get exciting. This is the most ambitious prototype in the Quarterhorse project, and it's designed to showcase Hermeus's ultimate goal, transitioning from turbojet to ramjet mode during flight. This is a critical step for achieving hypersonic speeds, and it's something that's never been done before in a practical, reusable aircraft. The Mk3 is also aiming to break the airspeed record set by the SR-71 Blackbird back in 1976.
Now tell me about the camera that would be on board here. There was a little bit of film in there, right?
The Blackbird reached speeds of Mach 2.85, and Hermeus is hoping to surpass that with the Mk3. Their target speed is Mach 4, which would be a huge leap forward in aviation technology. Even though Mach 4 is still below the hypersonic threshold of Mach 5, it's a major step in the right direction. If Hermeus can get the Mk3 to reach these speeds, it will prove that their technology is capable of handling the extreme conditions of high-speed flight. Do you think it's possible to get through the challenges of flying a hypersonic jet? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Click on the next video displayed on your screen. You will enjoy it.